Women's college volleyball today from the campus of Washington State University. The final day of the Cougar Invitational in Pullman. Washington State hosting Central Michigan for this Sunday match. The Cougars 2-0 on the weekend. Central Michigan has been swept in both of its matches. Welcome inside Bowler Gym. I'm Trevor Williams. So glad to be with you here today for more exciting volleyball action and what have been a first fun couple days of the college volleyball season. For Central Michigan, a bright spot right now for the Chippewas through these first two matches has been the play of Taylor Kripe, sophomore returner on this team and a captain for Central Michigan. Has had a couple 10-plus kill matches, opened with 14 against Montana on Friday, and then had 10 yesterday against Omaha. So 24 kills, 12 digs, 3 aces through her first couple matches to start the year. On the other side for Washington State, the Cougars saw a career night last night from Eliana Tia, another sophomore in this match. The outside hitter from Meridian, Idaho, with 20 kills. It bested her career high, previously 17 on her freshman season. She also contributed 12 digs for a double-double yesterday. She came up with 3 aces, which also matched a career high through her first season and change. Cougars looking for more production from her. We've got volleyball coming up after this timeout. We'll check lineups, get you to first serve. That's when we come back. The Cougars and the Chippewas on this Sunday morning. Washington State and Central Michigan this morning from the campus of WSU. Final game of the Cougar Invitational. The only two teams to play 3 games on the weekend, Montana and Omaha. Their weekend's done after yesterday's action. Washington State off to a 2-0 start on the season. Central Michigan has been swept in its first 2 matches. Cougars have only dropped 1 set. They swept Omaha, lost the first set to Montana last night, then won the next 3 to win it in 4. Central Michigan's head coach Ariel Wilson looking to see if her Chippewas can get their first set of the weekend. They've gotten progressively better each set played in their 2 matches, get closer down the stretch, looking for a hotter start today. Eliana Tia rockets one for WSU right out of the gates. And it picks up right where she left off last night. A career-high 20 kills against Montana. Tia has the first serve for WSU, and it's overpass right back to the Cougars. Audrey Hollis for Naomi White out of the middle. Naomi White has had a nice introduction to Washington State as well. 8 kills, 5 blocks last night to go along with a career best 3 assists. Portland State transfer. First swing for Lily Mulholland. Sophomore, one of 4 returners on a very young Central Michigan roster. Mulholland her 10th kill of the weekend. Down the line in front of Cambry Rodriguez. Mulholland, nice to see her back. Missed 2025 with an injury. Really highly touted recruit out of Ohio. Hollis having to adjust down to the floor for the set to Mary Healy. Central Michigan able to do something with it before the Cougars block the try for Taylor Kripe. Naomi White and Whitney Dewicki for WSU, blocking such a big part of last night's victory over Montana. Cougars outblocked the Grizzlies 16-1. White picks up her first today. Tipped back by Krissa Moorman on the try for Carla Sanchez-George. It's wide, Washington State now with a 4-1 advantage. Timeout taken quickly by Central Michigan. Ariel Wilson sensing things potentially starting to snowball early on her team. Washington State yesterday in the first set, they struggled against Montana. They got out to a 12-2 advantage, but it was the Grizzlies responding with a 10-point scoring run. Set that ended up being close all the way, and Montana won by 2. Ariel Wilson, second-year head coach, tremendous volleyball player, 2-time USA Women's National Team, 2-time All-American, and a 4-time national champion at Penn State. And everywhere she's gone, she's been a part of a winner. Most recently with Missouri on staff, going to an NCAA tournament, went 3 times at Georgia Tech, also experience at Michigan State and DePaul. Looking to get her culture instilled and her players growing in this Central Michigan program, and that'll be something to watch for the Chippewas. Very young team. Only 4 returners. They only have 1 senior and a couple upperclassmen. So expect big growth from Central Michigan as the season goes along. But maybe not completely surprising that there could be some growing pains early with all the youth and new experience on this team. Naomi White will be serving for Washington State. White so far has a block in this match. And she now has an ace. Out of the timeout, Washington State delivers its first service ace of the day. It's a 3-point scoring run for the Cougars. And a miscommunication between Rainey Weinman and Addison Samolinski on the serve receive. White right back targeting them. Kripe over the Cougar block. And it was Hollis for Whitney Dewicki. Central Michigan into the net. Net violation. Washington State now has a 5-point lead early at 6-1. Here's White again, keeping with the serve. 4-point Cougar run right now. Tia underneath the try for Carla Sanchez-George. And the Cougars drop that one in with Mary Healy. Something Washington State has enjoyed throughout this Cougar Invitational at home. The Cougars have had some great starts to sets. Jumped out on Omaha in all 3 on Friday night and kept Montana at arm's length for most of last night as well. Dewicki over the blockers. Jalea Cones with the dig. And Taylor Kripe connects with the swing. Puts an end to the 5-point Washington State run. Kripe's first kill today. A nice blistering swing cross floor. Naomi White couldn't pick it up. Eliana Tia targeted on the serve from Taylor Kripe. And Tia had been perfect the first 2 matches of the year on serve receive. Taylor Kripe gets the first ace of the day for Central Michigan. Kripe, a sophomore from Indiana, was a captain on this Central Michigan team before even playing a college match, and you can see how hard her serve is to pick up. Back at her college debut, had a program record 6 aces last season. That is her career high. Audrey Hackney with the set for Jalea Cones. Comes back over for Mary Healy. Nice save by Cambry Rodriguez. WSU scrambling to keep it alive. Kripes had to back up on the set out of the back row. Free ball to Central Michigan. Chippewas trying to put it away this time. Cambry Rodriguez under another from Brenna Stores. Still Central Michigan getting all the good opportunities, but the Cougars block it. Mary Healy leading the way against Carla Sanchez-George. Washington State had to survive free ball after free ball in that point. And Mary Healy eventually ending it with the block for the Cougars. Second block for Washington State today. Good serve from Whitney DeWicki. Free ball coming the Cougars' way from Jalea Cones. A slide set up for Krissa Moorman, but it misses wide. Olivia Ward checking in. Cougars who've been able to employ a 6-2 with Olivia Ward, Audrey Hollis both on the floor this weekend. Now Hollis, a unique setter in that she can also hit for Washington State. Service error for Central Michigan. Couple service errors early for the Chippewas. Each team has an ace in this opening set. Mary Healy, redshirt junior, one of the leaders on this Cougar team. And powered through the Cougar block by Carla Sanchez-George. George, another one of the 4 returners for Central Michigan. A sophomore from Puerto Rico. Really started her career as a beach player. Has transitioned nicely into the indoor game. Getting into a hitting role, listed as a setter on the roster. Ward sets the middle, and a net violation on Central Michigan. The swing was wide for Krissa Moorman, but got bailed out by the net violation. Sub coming for Washington State, Naomi White. Cambry Rodriguez with the serve. Long run to chase it down for Brighton Lyon. Out in front of Naomi White and Kate Hayhurst. Good job by Lyon to go chase that ball down. Great block by Taylor Thomas. Junior middle blocker who's posted her 5th block of the weekend. Eliana Tia pops it off the Central Michigan block. Yeah, Washington State. Central Michigan doubled up. 12-6, the Cougar advantage. Audrey Hollis and Whitney DeWicki back for WSU. Hollis, a junior from Colorado, transfer from Hawaii. Kripe touches here to the near side. And Kripe able to land that in on a tip over the Cougar block. Second kill for Taylor Kripe in this first set. And Washington State didn't have any coverage, with Kripe able to go right around that leaping Cougar block. Hollis for White. Kept up for a moment and saved by Kripe on a free ball. Now over for Eliana Tia. Overpass, White. Underneath it, Rainey Weidman. Taylor Kripe once again. No touch. Yes, touch called. Central Michigan with the point. Washington State's block got a hand on it. The Cougars are saying no up front. We'll see if Corey Schrader decides to challenge this. So it was around Naomi White and Whitney DeWicki. Corey Schrader has decided to challenge. So we'll go see if there is a touch here. Cougars right now with a 4-point lead. Washington State hitting .312 in this opening set. Central Michigan at just 111. Alexandra Collins checking the monitor. We'll get a look inside right now. Taylor Kripe with Mary Healy on the dig. Back row attack, Eliana Tia. Libero Ceci Bustamante. Set that up for Central Michigan, but it's wide. Washington State a point away from sending it to immediate timeout. The Cougars in control so far in this first set, holding Central Michigan to 6 kills, 5 attacking errors. 6 kills, just 1 error for WSU. There's Stores back with her 2nd kill. Back-to-back swings have resulted in points for Brenna Stores. She came in along with Taylor Thomas with the 4 blocks through the first couple matches, has done a nice job there defensively at the net. Getting involved right now with a couple kills. 5 kills against Omaha, the early season high for her. Mary Healy with it landing long. Central Michigan stringing a couple points together, tightening things up. Now down by 4. And Taylor Kripe, the dangerous server, headed to the line. 3 aces against Omaha earlier this weekend. Goes diving in on that from Whitney DeWicki. Krissa Mormon shuts it down for Brenna Stores. Mormon, the talented D2 transfer at middle blocker for Washington State, sending it to a timeout. The Cougars with a 5-point lead in this opening set. And Washington State with its 3rd block here of set number 1. Washington State with the 15-10 lead in the first set. Central Michigan trying to get things right. First couple matches been a little bit of a challenge for the Chippewas. While blocking has been there for Central Michigan, they've been out hit by their opponents. They've had trouble getting consistent hitting on their side. Krissa Mormon out of the timeout, connecting on the slide for Washington State. Mormon had the block before the break. And Whitney DeWicki will serve for Washington State Cougars. Gotten the last couple points, add on to their lead. Tough set there, tight to the net for Audrey Hackney, the freshman from Missouri. Another slide for Mormon. Stores, Cougars able to find it. Healy to the back corner in front of Kripe. Now it's the Cougs by a touchdown in the first set. Mary Healy with her 2nd kill. Healy had 10 kills last night against Montana. Also 16 digs, a career high by a mile. Jalea Cones with the answer back for Central Michigan. First kill for Cones. Well, Central Michigan and Washington State with 8 kills, but the Cougars 4 fewer errors. Brenna Stores. Here's Audrey Hollis. Told you the setter can swing. Cones once again, Hollis there for it. Ward over for Healy. Ward for the back row, and Tia, and that's blocked by Taylor Thomas. 2nd block for Thomas, and she goes solo on Eliana Tia. The junior was 2nd at Incarnate Word last year with 66 blocks on the season. And already with 6 to start 2026. Audrey Hollis, another swing. There's Brenna Stores for it. It's going to be tough to get around the antenna for Carla Sanchez-George, and she did not. She was in an inopportune spot on the set. That off target, Mary Healy back to serve. Healy came in with 3 aces, tied with Eliana Tia for the early season lead. Sanchez George shut down. Krissa Mormon leads it with Eliana Tia. And Mormon's blocking presence really showing up here these last 2 matches for Washington State. Had 9 blocks last night against Montana, and Mormon already in on a couple in this first set for WSU. 7-point lead for the Cougars. Central Michigan using its second timeout in set number 1. So the Chippewas out of timeouts. Washington State pretty spread out attack. Eliana Tia, Mary Healy, Krissa Mormon, each with 2 kills. 4 different Cougars with a block already, including Naomi White, Krissa Mormon in the middle, and Mary Healy and Eliana Tia on the outside. Home opening weekend for Washington State. A chance for the Cougars to start the 2026 season at home. Got nice crowds throughout the weekend, even with the morning Sunday match here to wrap up the Cougar Invitational. See some of that huddle player led right now for Central Michigan, trying to light a fire late in the first set, and the Chippewas need a run right now. Mary Healy so far, 2 kills, 4 digs, 1 block. Really contributing a lot defensively for Washington State. Each of the first 2 matches of the year have been new career highs in digs for her. Touched by Washington State. The Cougars didn't think so. Cougs thought it was out for the point. There is a call for a touch. Washington State may challenge here. Cougar blockers are saying that they did not touch it up front. And there is some confusion right now as they talk with the officials. And it will be a challenge from Washington State. Call was for a touch on the Cougar blockers. They've already been successful once here in the set. And this should be pretty easy to review if they can get a backside angle of this for Krissa Mormon, because she's the only one up on the attack for Kripe. It's off Mormon's right side. You can see the line judge Samantha Unger in the back right away signal for the touch. Quick review. And the Cougars were certain that there was no touch. And there was not. So Washington State, a couple successful challenges on touches in this first set. Grows the Cougar lead to 8. Mary Healy will return to serve for WSU. It's a 3-point scoring run for the Cougars after the overturned call. Central Michigan checking rotations. Make sure they've got everybody positioned. Mary Healy with the ace. Second ace for the Cougars, first for Healy today. Healy now with the team leading 4 aces to start the year. Playing great in all 6 rotations for the Cougars.
Nice play down the line for Jalea Cones. Set up well for and found a gap in Washington State's defense. Right in between Olivia Ward and Mary Healy. Brighton Lionel serve, sophomore from St. Louis, transfer from Texas Tech, but was limited in her role there. Former top-ranked setter out of the state of Missouri. Cougars waiting to check in Chloe Heimlicher. There is a discussion going on over at the table potentially about the subs. Maybe trying to clarify on the rotations after that last challenge. Well, there's definitely some discussion going on about the substitutes. Maybe a question of Central Michigan being out of rotation then. The discussion seems to be centered on the Chippewa side of the net. Linda Kildew is one of the scorers along with Darcy Anderson. Kildew is the one who's locked in the most conversation with Alexandra Collins right now. And Ariel Wilson looking on, waiting for an explanation as well. Her assistant coach is checking in on the conversation too. One of the lengthier conversations that I've seen and Alexandra Collins talking through her headset to Deanna Schneier as well, the up official. The Cougars are sending over Olivia Ward to ask about things there. Taylor Kripe, same for Central Michigan. They both want to get an explanation from Deanna Schneier on what's going on. It's certainly complicated because usually the conversations, even when the captains on the floor come over, they're usually short-lived with the referee. Kind of quick call, they walk away. And you have the two scorers there who keep track of subs, rotations. And they are the ones who raised the concern here. First explanation is going over to Central Michigan. Wonder if it could be a discrepancy in the number of subs, if that's what Central Michigan's trying to check in on. But a lengthy pause here in the first set. Washington State with an 8-point advantage. Serve right now is headed to the Chippewas. Taking a look at the upcoming schedules for Central Michigan. They're going to get to host some home matches. They did not a season ago, but coming up next week, Oakland, Illinois State, and Michigan State all going to visit Central Michigan. This will be great for them coming up here in the non-conference. For Washington State, the Cougars are headed to Eugene, Oregon next weekend. They will face Long Island on Saturday and the host Oregon Ducks on Sunday. Referees still talking through things now with one another. Alexandra Collins and Deanna Schneier. Certainly there's been some disagreement from the Central Michigan side, but all the conversation has been on the Central Michigan side of the net, so it's pretty clearly the rotation for the Chippewas. Can sense a little bit of growing frustration on the Washington State side as they just want to get back to play. They're just trying to keep it loose at the moment. Been a lot of reason for the Cougars to smile in their first couple matches of the year. Corey Schrader said coming into the season he feels like this could be his best team so far in his first 3 years as a head coach. Really likes the depth and the competition amongst all the different position groupings. Certainly both referees trying to figure out what they're going to do with these rotations as both Central Michigan and Washington State get into a little bit of a dance-off on the floor. They're going to take matters into their own hands to keep folks entertained inside Bullard Gym. And Central Michigan, after the discussion, has been called out of rotation. That was even after the Chippewas. I think I mentioned before the Washington State serve, they were trying to check. So it's 22-12. Washington State now up by 10, and the Cougars will take the serve back. So that last play called out of rotation. Washington State will make a sub for a serve. Chloe Heimlicher will serve for the Cougars. Ariel Wilson, I think, after that just asked the scorers to go through with Alexandra Collins what you can to make sure that everybody is set correctly in their rotation now so that this doesn't become a repeat issue for Central Michigan late in this first set. But the Cougars are just a few points from the finish line here in the first. Washington State out blocking Central Michigan 4-1. It's now a 5-point scoring run for the Cougars. Central Michigan now set, and Washington State will serve after the long pause to call the out of rotation. And a service error for Chloe Heimlicher. Heimlicher frustrated with herself. It was a long wait for her. Sprung up off the bench, ready to come in and serve. You see teams sometimes, they'll use timeouts to try to ice a server. That was just by way of the referee conversation. So Julia Cones to serve for Central Michigan. And Cones with the ace. First ace of the year for Julia Cones, the lone senior on this Central Michigan roster. Previously a couple years at Daytona State in Florida. Native of Tampa. Cones using every bit of real estate she can back there to the bleachers. Eliana Tia able to get to that serve, and Krissa Mormon from the middle for the Cougars. Krissa Mormon's had a nice opening set, a team leading 3 kills and a team leading 2 blocks. The senior from Colorado Springs. Cambry Rodriguez, the Florida International, transfers the Cougars libero to start this season. She'll serve next for Washington State. Kreit, blocked back by the Cougars, who have added in Julia Dickinson for the first time this year. No touch by Washington State. The attack long for Central Michigan. Set point for the Cougars in the first. Julia Dickinson, the Idaho transfer, who had been out of college volleyball, had not played since 2024. Late addition this summer with the Cougars, making her first appearance this year. Cambry Rodriguez into the net. So Central Michigan avoids one set point from Washington State in the first. The Chippewas have a mountain to climb, though, would need 9 more points to extend this set. Ceci Bustamante, sophomore from El Paso, Texas. There's Eliana Tia. She started the set for Washington State with a kill, just misses cross floor. So Central Michigan fighting off a couple Cougar set points now in the first. And again, Ceci Bustamante back to serve. Has nearly matched her entire Lamar freshman dig total during this opening weekend. She had 18 digs all of last year. 17 coming through the first 2 games. And low for Kate Hayhurst into the top of the net. Hayhurst shielding her eyes after the swing. She felt like she shied off that swing towards the Central Michigan side. Took a little off of it and too much. Ward for Hayhurst. Underneath it, Brighton Lyon. Taylor Kripe, Cougar block, popped it up. Eliana Tia trying to go to the back. Julia Cohn's there for it. Out of the middle, Brenna Stores. Eliana Tia one more time, blocked away by Brenna Stores and Lily Mulholland. 4 straight points for the Chippewas. Said it would be a mountain to climb. They need 6 more in a row. Hayhurst with the swing. Nice job underneath it by Lyon. Free ball to Washington State. 2 Chippewas ran into each other. Eliana Tia punctuates the set for the Cougars. Tia ends up with 3 kills in the first. And Washington State, the Cougs didn't hit it super efficiently, but they held Central Michigan in a negative hit percentage in the first. 25-18, the set win for WSU. We move on to the second set next. Central Michigan, we mentioned in the first set, very young team. The Chippewas falling in the first set to Washington State. It's been a rough weekend so far. 7 sets played, 7 sets lost. And you look at some of the youth on this team, 73% of the roster newcomers, and nearly half of the roster freshmen, 13 of the 15 underclassmen. And we saw in the huddle just a moment ago, the lone senior is Jalea Cones. Cones, one of 4 incoming transfers. And Cones in the first set for Central Michigan. Part of some things defensively, had an ace as well, and a kill in the opening set for the Chippewas. They were held to a negative hit percentage, 8 kills, 10 attacking errors. Washington State, 10 kills, 6 errors. Cougars are +2 in blocking, 4-2. Some young Cougs enjoying the opening weekend. Eliana Tia had a great night last night for Washington State with a career-high 20 kills. One of the returners for WSU. The Cougars have a mix of a returning core along with some high-impact transfers, and it's a big reason for a lot of the optimism on Washington State's side of the net. And I think a real belief in this program, even though the coaches in the Pac-12 preseason picked them right around the middle of the pack, I think they could be competing for a conference championship when this is closer to being said and done. Now, there were issues with the rotation back in the first set. And before we get started in the second, I think some extra diligence being given to make sure that things are marked up for Ariel Wilson's Chippewas. Corey Schrader looking on, 3rd-year head coach at Washington State, 4th year in total in the program. Spent a year as an assistant for the Cougars in 2023, a year in which Washington State went to the Sweet 16. And then with the departure of longtime head coach Jen Greeny, Corey Schrader took over with the job for WSU. Led the Cougars through 2 seasons in the WCC before reorganizing the Pac-12. It'll be a very competitive league this year. Eliana Tia to open up with the serve for Washington State in the second set. And the serve long for Eliana Tia. The Cougars trying to argue that Central Michigan was out of position, out of rotation at the start where they were set up around the libero. For now, service error for Eliana Tia. Alexandra Collins says she'll watch it going forward. See her conversation with Corey Schrader here at the table. Ceci Bustamante with the serve. Audrey Hollis with Naomi White. Bustamante set it up for Lily Mulholland. Kripe and Washington State into the net. Central Michigan has the first 2 points of set 2. Taylor Kripe is certainly the favorite target. 15 attack attempts, 3 kills, 3 errors. Hollis, long set over to Healy. And Mary Healy has the first point for Washington State in the second. 3 kills for Mary Healy now. WSU very balanced. Eliana Tia has been set 10 times. Mary Healy 9 times. Krista Mormon 6. Each have 3 kills. Turned over to Kripe. And Kripe cross floor. 3-1 Central Michigan. So Taylor Kripe connecting on a couple kills here early in the second set. Four kills now for Kripe, leads all hitters. Audrey Hackney with the serve. Right back over from Washington State. Here's Kripe once again. Hollis comes down for it. Healy. Nice turn by her around the blockers. Great job to see the cross floor opportunity and just worked it in there. So that's 4 kills for Mary Healy now. Free ball to Washington State. That's all Ceci Bustamante could do with that. Carissa Mormon with that going back out of bounds. And Mormon has the kill. 4th for Mormon. Whitney DeWicki out of Littleton, Colorado. As a high school senior, logged over 400 kills. And Whitney DeWicki with her first college ace. The freshman puts Washington State in front 4-3. DeWicki was an all-state selection in Colorado as a prep player, and one that Washington State is really excited about. Into the net with a service error to follow it up. 4 aside here in the second set, but Whitney DeWicki logs her first college ace during that trip to the service line. Taylor Kripe back to serve. 4 aces to lead Central Michigan to start the year. Up into the rafters. Cougars can play that from their side. And Hollis misses to the corner around Ceci Bustamante. Kripe's probably got the most velocity on the serve from anyone we've seen this weekend. The tape helped slow that down for Washington State, and Mary Healy with the tip sends Central Michigan scrambling to no avail. Mary Healy now the match leader with 5 kills. Three kills already for Healy in the first 5 Cougar points of the second set. Washington State blocks that away from Brenna Stores. Eliana Tia sending it back down to the floor. And once Tia could sense that tip coming from Stores, good opportunity for her to fly over and pick up her second block. Back and forth for these two teams to start the second set. Mary Healy with a great serve. Back row attack for Kripe. And it is high. Central Michigan wants a touch. They're going to challenge. They think it touched the Cougar block. So this will go to a review. And I could read the lips of Carissa Mormon. She said, I touched that. So we will see if that's what the replay shows. She may have to work on her poker face a little bit more. 3-point scoring run right now, but under challenge by Central Michigan. First challenge by the Chippewas today. Alexandra Collins taking a look at it. Kripe came screaming in from the back row for Central Michigan. And trying to go high off the hands of Mormon, and Kripe right away was pointing at Mormon. So she saw a deflection on it that redirected it just a little bit higher than the top of Mormon's fingertips. First challenge by Ariel Wilson today. I feel like I can see the ball change directions. I mean, I feel like I get a little bit of a cheat code here sitting on Washington State's side of the net. Could see Krista Moorman saying she touched it, so I know she felt it. But that's going to be the awfully frustrating thing about this for Central Michigan, is if they can't get a camera angle to show it, it isn't going to matter what she said. You can see her hand right in on the ball there, though, Moorman. I bet part of what they're going to watch is the stripes on that ball coming through. Let's see. Wow, call stands. So Washington State essentially able to get away with one in the second set. Mary Healy will serve. Cougars a 3-point scoring run. Diving in for Olivia Ward. Kate Hayhurst helps keep it off the floor. Kripe once again, that time it definitely touched Moorman. So the volleyball gods say we'll make it a little more clear this time. Taylor Kripe with kill number 5 on her day. Eliana Tia back to work. Little help from the tape. Change of direction on the ball on the way through. 4 kills for Tia. Tia, the 20 kill performance last night, her first 10-plus kill match of the season after 9 a year ago. Cambry Rodriguez had 14 digs last night. She serves there for the Cougars. Taylor Thomas straight to Mary Healy. Tipped by Tia, dive by Cones. And Kripe with Ward diving on the floor to it. Free ball to Central Michigan. Thomas poked it up, Tia sends it down. And Eliana Tia back-to-back kills for Washington State. That's now 5 for Tia to draw even with teammate Mary Healy and Taylor Kripe on the other side. Still Cambry Rodriguez serving. Washington State now with the 3-point lead. Long run saved right against the front row of the bleachers by Ceci Bustamante. Naomi White, though, in the scramble drill, able to find the center back on Central Michigan's side. 2 kills for Naomi White. Nice decision by Olivia Ward. Timeout, Central Michigan. 4-point lead for the Cougars now in what had been a back-and-forth start to the second set. But Washington State putting a little bit of distance between them and Central Michigan. Couple 3-point Cougar scoring runs broken up by a single point for CMU. Cougars have about half the attacking errors of Central Michigan and 5 more kills. Continued to hold Central Michigan to a negative hit percentage. Washington State with 6 players returning from 2025, but 10 transfers and a true freshman. Eliana Tia, Krista Moorman, Cambry Rodriguez, all on the Pac-12 preseason impact list. We've seen them all have nice debuts to their seasons. A lot of positive vibes from the Cougar huddle in the second set. Cambry Rodriguez will keep serving out of the Central Michigan timeout. 3 straight points for the Cougars. Rodriguez into the net. Service error. 5th service error for WSU. They do have 3 aces. Central Michigan's serve will be with Brighton Lyon. Lyon a kill, 4 assists, 5 digs. And off Eliana Tia with the ace. 3rd ace for Central Michigan. Brighton Lions' first of the season. First as a Chippewa. Her mom played volleyball at Marquette, her dad at Wisconsin Milwaukee. Too long on the next try for Lyon. So followed in her parents' footsteps. Certainly fell in love with volleyball from an early age. Central Michigan now within 3. Audrey Hollis for Washington State. Her mom also a volleyball player at Michigan. Mary Healy with the dig. Eliana Tia with the swing. And Washington State a 4-point lead. Tia registering her 5th kill. Hollis serving once again. Kripe out of the back row off Naomi White. And Taylor Kripe with kill number 6. So we talked about her right off the top. 10 kills yesterday against Omaha, 14 kills for her on Friday against Montana. White blocked. Taylor Thomas, another big block for her today. Had a great solo block in the first set. She had a teammate up with her, but she certainly led the charge here in the second. Climbing up there with Lily Mulholland to send away Naomi White. Chippewas within 2. Tia. With Mulholland there underneath it. Back over to Kripe. Cougar block gets in the way. Now Thomas out of the middle. Trying to follow up that block with a kill. Went up for the overpass, and Washington State with a net violation. Taylor Thomas providing a little spark for Central Michigan, getting the Chippewas within 1. WSU calling for a moment. They've got to help out Taylor Thomas, or pardon me, they got to help out Audrey Hollis. She's got a little blood on her hand. Corey Schrader saw his Cougars get out to a fairly sizable lead here in this second set. Central Michigan with 3 consecutive points to cut the Cougar lead to 1. Julia Cohn's going to see if she can help serve Central Michigan back to even in the second set. Ward over for DeWicki. Cohn's trying to help race it down, and to no avail for Central Michigan. Whitney DeWicki with the kill for Washington State. 2 kills for DeWicki now. Eliana Tia with the serve, and Central Michigan out of rotation. Second time for the Chippewas today. WSU now a 3-point advantage. Over from Mulholland on the slide. Nice dig by Audrey Hollis. Here's Mary Healy. Rodriguez for DeWicki. Blocked back. Thomas up with White, who wins it for Washington State. And Naomi White, a nice job to get in there for the Cougar point. Back to a 4-point lead for WSU. Immediate timeout in set number 2 with the Cougars on a 3-point scoring run. Four-point lead for Washington State. Middle of set 2. Cougars lead is set to none. For Washington State, some of the leaders right now, Eliana Tia and Mary Healy, each with 5 kills. Krista Mormon has contributed 4 and 3 blocks for her. Tia's been in on 3 blocks as well. You see Krista Mormon hitting very efficiently up above 400. Hit 352 last year for Metro State in the national championship season. Naomi White, after the kill, gets up for the block. She had a kill before the timeout. She and Mary Healy there to extend the Cougar run to 4. Eliana Tia gets the overpass on the serve, and Washington State called for interfering on the Central Michigan side of the net. Point right away given to the Chippewas. And Corey Schrader right away had jumped up off the bench. He's looking to ask for a challenge. Conversation between Alexandra Collins and Deanna Schneier. I think WSU is challenging, looking for a net violation here on Central Michigan. Some clarifications on the challenge before it goes under review. And it is for a touch. Oh, and I see what they're saying here. So Naomi White, you saw her hand come through and hit the net. So the reason the point went to Central Michigan, it was called a net violation on Naomi White. The challenge from Washington State is that White had contacted the ball before the net, and it did look like she did. Very quick review. And it is Washington State winning it with the point. That led to a back row attack error for Central Michigan. So 17-11 WSU. Cougars win their third challenge. Successfully challenged 3 different calls in the first 2 sets. 5-point scoring run for the Cougs now. And Eliana Tia still serving. Kripe, a tip. Healy dives to cover it. And then DeWicki. Nice up from Brighton Lyon. But Naomi White and Whitney DeWicki shut it down for the Cougs. A lot of length the Cougars have from the freshman DeWicki. 6'3", listed the same as Mary Healy on the roster, but you see them stand next to each other. Looks like DeWicki's got her by just a little bit. And low on the back row attack for Jalea Cones. WSU now way up late in this set. Cougars 7 straight points, lead by 8. Central Michigan does have 1 timeout remaining, and the Chippewas will take it here. Washington State in control in this second set thanks to a 7-point scoring run. Central Michigan has more than twice as many attacking errors as Washington State right now, and just had one there before the timeout. Hit percentage still in the negatives for the Chippewas. 12 kills, 17 attack errors. That had been the story of the weekend for Central Michigan coming in. 10 more attacking errors than their opponents, and 22 fewer kills. It's resulted for Central Michigan in going 0 for 7 in sets played so far on the weekend, with a hit percentage below 150. Mentioned it last set, the good thing coming into this match for Central Michigan had been the blocking. They actually had an edge on their opponents 10-9 in blocks, but Washington State up 8-3 in that category this afternoon. There's a team comparison so far. Cougars hitting percentage still below where they want it, but for a second consecutive match, some really strong blocking showing up. Already 8 blocks. The Cougars had 7 in total in their season opener against Omaha, but then followed it up with 16 last night against Montana. Eliana Tia serving with the Cougars on a 7-0 run. Taylor knocked back by White. It rolls the tape and out of bounds. Washington State now expands the run to 8. The Cougars lead by 9. Great effort by Ceci Bustamante, but didn't get a friendly bounce off the tape. Cones from the back row, another attacking error for Central Michigan. 9-point run for WSU. The Cougars making a sub. Madden Cervalera will come in for Mary Healy. Eliana Tia has pitched camp at the service line. Taylor Thomas having to lace up her shoe for, I think, the second time I can remember here in this set. Having a little trouble with it. Try to get a good double knot on that. Nine straight points for the Cougars. Over to Kripe. Cougar block. Almost sent it back down. Here it is again. Madden Cervalera, the new check-in with the dig. Now gets the set. DeWicki there for it. White pops up. Cougars trying to go for a quick hit on 2. And the Cougar block sends it away for Taylor Kripe. 10-0 run for the Cougs. Naomi White and Whitney DeWicki there once again. 9 blocks for Washington State now in the first 2 sets. Cougs have Central Michigan doubled up. Free ball's coming. Hollis sets Cervalera. That's into the net. Puts an end to the 10-point run for WSU. But the Cougars in control late in the second. Ceci Bustamante will serve for CMU. Bustamante almost with the ace. This will be a long free ball for Eliana Tia to pull off, and she just did. Comes back free to Washington State. DeWicki misses the hands of the Central Michigan blockers too long. The Cougars almost got gifted an overpass back. Ceci Bustamante out of a really talented high school in El Paso, Texas, Eastlake High School, a top 10 school in the state when she was playing there. Cambry Rodriguez covering. Tipped in by Madden Cervalera for a moment. Whitney DeWicki, good swing. Mulholland, too long for the Chippewas. Lily Mulholland, 1 kill so far, 3 errors. Mulholland gets set again, this time tips it over the Cougar block. The lead still 9 for Washington State. Held Central Michigan to a negative 167 hit percentage in the second set. Cougars the exact opposite on the positive side at 167. Krissa Mormon, a slide into the middle with Audrey Hollis. Set point for Washington State in the second. Sub coming for WSU, it's Ella Smith. A senior from Corvallis, Oregon, transfer from Fresno State. Get some action here for the Cougars with a 10-point lead in the second. Whitney DeWicki has the serve. Good serve by DeWicki. Hollis, a set in the middle for Smith. Blocked away, free ball over to Central Michigan. Turn by the setter, Lyon. Good read by Washington State, but fired long for Madden Cervalera. Set point number 2 coming for WSU. Livia Ward in for Washington State. Taylor Kripe sends one away at Eliana Tia. Ward with the set over for Hollis. Returned right on back to Washington State. Rodriguez up for Cervalera, and Cervalera wins the second set for the Cougars. Madden Cervalera with her first kill of the day, and Washington State, with a lot of excitement, takes the second set 25-15, now leading 2-0 over Central Michigan. The Cougars a set away from a 3-0 start to their 2026 season. We'll have our set break coming up when we return. 2-0 lead for Washington State. Cougars looking for their second sweep of the weekend. Swept Omaha back on Friday, 1-4 against Montana last night. Central Michigan still looking for its first set win of the season. So far, the star for the Chippewas has been Taylor Kripe. Had the most kills of anyone in the second set, either side of the net. 4 kills for in the second. She has helped power the attack for Central Michigan. For WSU, a big 3 that has emerged today. Eliana Tia coming off the 20 kills last night, has 5 with 3 blocks. Then you got Krissa Mormon, who's also been on 3 blocks and a part of 5 kills. And Mary Healy also with 5 kills, and she has helped block a couple looks for Central Michigan. Healy continues to play well defensively for the Cougs as well. 7 digs. Coming into this year from last year, she didn't have a 7-dig match all of last season. She's now gotten 7 or more each of the first 3. Cougs up 2-0. We'll come back, get you set for the third. Washington State leads 2-0. A look at the stats through the first 2 sets. WSU has held Central Michigan to a negative hit percentage. You see twice as many errors for the Chippewas. And the Cougars almost have them doubled up in kills as well. Serve will be with Central Michigan to start the third. Taylor Kripe. How about Kripe, a captain at Central Michigan before she ever played a college match? She said she feels like her leadership has really continued to grow, was a big leader of off-season training for Central Michigan as well when coaches weren't allowed contact. Interesting for both teams. Washington State, they had a freshman, Livia Ward, rising sophomore, take that role for the Cougars. We see some young leadership from both sides. Nice diving play by Ceci Bustamante. And in for the first time, Misha Sykes trying to change things up for Central Michigan. Cones with it going deep to the back to Healy. And then Tia trying to go down the line. There's Bustamante for it. Free ball to WSU. Hollis sets White out of the middle, and the Cougars have the first point of the third. Long rally won by Washington State to start the third set. Eliana Tia with an ace today. Cones had to wait on it, touched by Washington State. That'll even things up at 1 to start the third. Jalea Cones with her second kill. Cones, Mulholland Stores each with 2 for Central Michigan, and then Taylor Kripe with 6. WSU, we mentioned Eliana Tia, Mary Healy, Krissa Mormon each with 5 after the first 2 sets. Healy set off target into the antenna, and Central Michigan will take the early lead in the third set. Washington State this year trying to replace about 2/3 of its production. Mary Healy, one of those returners. She gets set right again down the line. Audrey Hackney there for it. Hollis tight to the net, and the set off target again. Whitney DeWicki has to go into the antenna. Washington State a little out of sorts to start the third set. To be fair for Hollis, she was really tight to the net, having to avoid a net violation. Ceci Bustamante, another serve. Whitney DeWicki, and that is rocketed off to the Cougar bench. Nice swing by Whitney DeWicki. Puts an end to a 3-point scoring run for Central Michigan. 2 kills for DeWicki now. Naomi White, one of the top hitters and blockers in the Big Sky a season ago, sending the serve away for Washington State. Taylor Thomas denied on her look, and that never makes it back over to the Cougars' side of the net. All square at 3 in the third. The set from Hackney for Thomas. And Krista Mormon and Mary Healy lead the block for the Cougars. 4-3 Washington State. Krista Mormon in on her 4th block tonight. She and Naomi White each with 4. Stores from the middle. White able to save it off a tip. And there's DeWicki. Couple kills for Whitney DeWicki in the third set. Washington State answering a 3-point Central Michigan run with a 3-point run of its own here in the third. 5-3 Cougs. Stores tipped by Mormon. There's Cones in front of White. And Jalea Cones has her second kill of the third set. Cones, a couple of years at Daytona State before going to Louisiana Monroe, where she had 60 kills last year with 20 digs, 10 blocks. Played in just 35 sets. She'll be a more central piece of Central Michigan's attack this year. Mary Healy sent back her way. Got to re-rack it, but dug out by Taylor Kripe. Whitney DeWicki looking for her 3rd kill of the set. Healy with her 3rd try in the rally, but misfired. First attacking error for Washington State in the third set. Both sides tied at 5. Hollis in the middle for Mormon, denied by Brenna Stores. The solo block for the freshman from Indiana. First solo block for Stores in her college career. Second block for her today. Going 1v1 with Krista Mormon. Central Michigan in front, but then the service error for Brighton Lion. Whitney DeWicki to serve for Washington State. Jalea Cones. Mary Healy. Nice job by Ceci Bustamante. Healy again, and this time rockets it to the floor. Washington State with its spread out attack. Mary Healy's the team leader in kills now with 6. 6 kills, 7 digs. A tip, Healy able to tap it back over the net. Cones, DeWicki diving out for it. Cougs trying to keep it off the floor, but they can't. And Jalea Cones having a nice third set. All 3 of her kills have come in set number 3. Now 7-7. Healy down the line. Bustamante there underneath it. Here's Kripe, and that hits the Cougar block and then the antenna. Taylor Kripe with a match-leading 7th kill. Central Michigan, each of the first couple matches of the weekend, their third set has been their best set. And they're off to a good start here in the third against Washington State. Ward having to set that with one hand for Mormon. Bustamante for Kripe once again, and Kripe able to tool the Washington State block. Central Michigan now in front by 2. And back-to-back kills for Taylor Kripe. Addison Samolinski on the serve. Krissa Mormon on the slide. And just able to work it under the hands of Taylor Kripe. 6 kills for Krissa Mormon. Mary Healy with the ace for Washington State. 2 aces for Mary Healy. First Cougar with a pair today. Second 2-ace match of the season for Healy. She's had him on back-to-back days against Montana and now Central Michigan. And Healy goes back-to-back here in the third set. Third ace of the day. Puts Washington State in front. Mary Healy has half of the Cougar aces. A 3-point scoring run for Washington State, and Central Michigan will burn a timeout in the third. Try to ice Mary Healy. Healy, who has now tied her season high from a year ago of 3 aces, and will be going for a new career high throughout the rest of this third set. Washington State starting this 2026 season inside Bowler Gym. Cougars will be back in the middle of the month against Long Beach State. And Washington State has protected Bowler Gym well over the years. So winning percentage up near 2/3 of the Cougars' matches. Really talented here inside their volleyball-only facility. Really great renovations a few years ago at the Terraflex flooring and new lower level bleacher seating and seat backs. Cougars have continued to raise the level of their facility. Definitely one of the leading facilities in the Pac-12 Conference. Washington State 8 more kills and 9 fewer errors than Central Michigan. And what it has led to is some Cougar dominance today in their third match of the year. Mary Healy working on back-to-back service aces. Her next ace would be a career high of 4. Tight to the net. Cougars tip it back with Eliana Tia. Taylor Kripe, the block impacted it. Ward for Hayhurst, and the southpaw swings through the Central Michigan block. 4-point run for Washington State now. Kate Hayhurst's first kill, so she posted 4 with 5 digs last night. Right back tight to the net. Krista Moorman going up for the block, and Central Michigan called it across the center line, or if it was a net violation. It was, yeah, Ceci Bustamante there sliding in. 5-point Cougar run. Healy rejected by the tape. Was nearly going to get helped out for her 4th ace of the day. But a great stint for her at the service line. Puts Washington State in front 12-10. Over to the freshman for Central Michigan, Brenna Storrs. 211 blocks for Storrs in her high school career. Prolific blocker there. And Central Michigan can't return the swing from Eliana Tia. WSU right back to the side out to get served back for Cambry Rodriguez. Kripe on the move, able to angle it around the Cougar block, and pressed down by Misha Sykes. Sykes with her first point of the day, first set played for Sykes. Her 4th set of the weekend, didn't play yesterday against Omaha, but did play in all 3 against Montana on Friday. Freshman from Maryland. 2-time high school all-star out of the state of Maryland. White trying to answer back in the middle. Kripe off the Cougar block. Ward setting up for Tia. Nice high hands for Andre Hackney. Kripe with a tip and lands it on Washington State's side. That's kill number 9 for Taylor Kripe. Central Michigan back within 1. Ward over for Tia, and Tia, a vicious attack for Washington State. Really nice swing by Eliana Tia. The Cougars lead by 2. 6th kill for Tia. Sykes out of the middle. Nice dive by Chloe Heimlicher. Cougars heck of a dig on Kripes by Heimlicher. How about that one? Returned back from Taylor Thomas. Ward for Tia. A tip this time. Overpassed. White with Sykes keeping it alive. Thomas. Tipped by Ward. Tia going down the line for Washington State. And the Cougars lead by 3 points in the 3rd. It'll take us to immediate timeout. Eliana Tia leading the Cougs once again in kills, picking up her 7th of the day. And Washington State ahead by 3, middle of the 3rd set. Behind this great play down the line for Eliana Tia. Washington State with a 3-point lead. Out of the media timeout in the third set, the Cougars have already claimed the first 2 sets today in Pullman. Eliana Tia, Krissa Moorman, Mary Healy continue to lead the way for WSU. Have combined for 19 of the Cougars' 28 kills today. Krissa Moorman continues to have a nice debut weekend, along with Eliana Tia, who's had a couple of the kills recently for Washington State. Great serve by Kate Hayhurst. Ace number 7 for Washington State. Hayhurst with her first of the season. Just the second of the sophomore's college career. Kripe, shallow down the line. Here's Tia off a tip. Kripe gets something behind that swing. Takes a piece of Washington State associate head coach Jeff Ross. Thankfully for WSU, he is outside of the lines on the floor. So it ends up just being an attack wide. The Cougars increase their lead to 5 with a 4-point scoring run working right now. A funny exchange in front of the Central Michigan bench. I'll tell you about it in a second. And the swing long for Misha Sykes. Erica Stahl, assistant coach for Central Michigan, she was talking with Taylor Kripe after that swing that hit Jeff Ross, and she said, "Don't worry, he's all right." But she said, "Don't do that to me, I will not be all right." Hayhurst with another serve for WSU. Kripe, cross floor and wide the other direction now. And Washington State up by 7. Central Michigan having to call its final timeout of the third set. Cougars can almost taste a sweep today. 6-point run for WSU. And what was a 13-12 Washington State lead just a moment ago. Central Michigan more attacking errors than kills. 24 errors to 18 kills. Washington State with some great blocking, up 10-4 in that category today. And this has been the most tightly contested set, but Washington State pulling away late here in the third. Corey Schrader wanting to see his team hit the gas pedal and finish this off on this Sunday for a perfect 3-0 start to the year. They suffered one really tough run yesterday in the first set against Montana. After going up 12-2, gave up a 10-point scoring run to the Grizzlies. Then that set was tightly contested the rest of the way, and Montana took it. The only set loss so far for Washington State this weekend. Elma Bajdoktanovic, junior from Vienna, Austria, has gone and taken a seat next to Corey Schrader, and she was a very late addition, just in the last few weeks for Washington State to the roster as a setter. I wonder if we may see Bajdoktanovic here today, 24-year-old junior. Kripe, blocked back by Olivia Ward and Naomi White. Ward led that for the Cougars. It's 20-12 Washington State. Kate Hayhurst serving with the Cougars on a 7-point scoring run. 11th block of the day for Wazoo. And too long on the serve for Hayhurst. So she did her job there. Got Washington State some serious breathing room. And the Cougars 5 points away from a 3-0 start to 2026. So Taylor Kripe serving with 2 aces to her name today. 8 kills, 5 digs. Hollis for White. Kripe underneath it. Over for Cones, and Julia Cones helps Central Michigan to back-to-back points. And the point where the Chippewas here need a run. And they have the right person on the service line to do it in Taylor Kripe. Back there at the swing from Cones. Kripe too much on it. And a costly service error. Takes Washington State up to 21 points. Mary Healy back for Chloe Heimlicher. Eliana Tia to serve. Right tight to the net. Good job by Brighton Lyon to get a hand on it. We need to wiki, but dug out by Kripe. Mary Healy helps block away Misha Sykes. WSU 3 points from the finish line now on the Cougars' 11th block of the day. Here's a set for Cones. Tipped by Washington State. Hollis dives for it. Here's Healy. Hackney got to it. Kripe out of the back row. Overpassed, and Tia tries to keep it up, but the kill for Brighton Lyon. Second kill for Lyon. Good vision by Lyon. Popped right up on that. Sent it right back to the Cougs on one touch. DeWicki caught a piece of the Central Michigan block and angled it cross floor. 8-point Cougar lead, and Washington State will be bringing in the newcomer, Elma Bajraktarovic, junior setter from Austria. She joins the floor with the Cougars a couple points away from a victory. Kripe off the Cougar block. For Taylor Kripe, 9 kills today. Trying to get to the mark of 10 for a 3rd consecutive match to start the season. Kripe has had double the attacking opportunities over Julia Cones. 40 of them for Kripe. It's reminiscent of what Eliana Tia had last night for Washington State with 49. Kripe out of the back row. There's 10 for Taylor Kripe. Her 3rd straight match with 10 kills to open the season for Central Michigan. Back-to-back points for the Chippewas. Bajraktarovic sets Healy. Kripe trying to drop one in. Rodriguez over for Healy. Bump set for DeWicki. Lyon there for it. Here's Kripe and misses. Match point for Washington State. WSU trying to complete its 2nd sweep of the weekend. The Cougars swept Omaha on Friday. Beat Montana in 4 sets yesterday. And Whitney DeWicki, the freshman, serves into the net, service error. Cougars 2 setters. Oh no, they will sub off Elma Bajraktarovic. Olivia Ward is back on to set for WSU. And it is match point for the Cougars here on serve receive. Rainey Weidman will serve for Central Michigan. Weidman with 1 dig today. Olivia Ward for Krista Mormon out of the middle. Cougar block in there to impact it again. Ward over for Healy. And Mary Healy caps a 3-0 weekend for Washington State. Her 7th kill of the day. WSU with a win in straight sets over Central Michigan. 25-18, 25-15, and 25-18 for the Cougars to cap a perfect home opening weekend in the Cougar Invitational. Sweeps of Omaha and Central Michigan, and a 4-set victory over Montana for Washington State to start the season 3-0. We'll have a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk to Corey Schrader, the head coach of the Cougars. Try to get Chris Moorman as well. As the Cougs have a great afternoon and start the season a perfect 3-0. Washington State with the sweep of Central Michigan, and the Cougars a 3-0 start to the season. Joining us now, the head coach of the Cougars, Corey Schrader. And Coach, for your team, a nice opening weekend. 3 matches, 3 wins, and you guys took care of business today again with some more blocking up there.
Yeah, not a perfect match by any means, but I think we ended up holding them negative, so I guess you can't complain about that. There's definitely a lot of things throughout the weekend that I feel like we're going to have to work on this week and clean up going into next weekend. But yeah, start 3-0 is a great way to do it. Being able to play 3 matches in Bowler right away and get the crowd and fans excited about the team that we have this year is great.
What did you feel like you learned about your team this weekend? I know you talked about some of the things you want to clean up, but did anything surprise you based off of what you've seen out of this team in practice?
I don't know about surprise, but we're certainly more fiery than we have been the last 2 years in a very good way. I think sometimes you can get really fiery, and it's we're getting angry, and they just play with passion and with each other. You see a little bit in the celebrations that it's some more outward celebration, turning to the bench and celebrating with them, celebrating with the crowd, which I think is fantastic, as long as we're keeping it on our side. So that's been really cool. Not that we didn't necessarily see that in practice, but until you get in a game environment, it's hard to really feel that. But I'm really excited about that aspect of our game because it's going to carry you through some tough times.
What did you think about the roles that a lot of your newcomers played this weekend and impactful sets that they played for you guys?
Yeah, I think, if you, at the end of last season, you asked us to write a lineup, I'm not sure if maybe 1 or 2 of the people that were out there would be in the positions that they were. Even our returners, Mary and Ellie, were on the right side a lot, and then here they are playing 6 rotation outside role is a really big deal. Cam played phenomenal defense. Our serve receive is pretty locked down too. But she just does a great job extending some rallies. Obviously, we have two new middles, extremely physical. That's a lot of the blocking there. You throw Whitney on the right side. She's a big body to help with the block. So across the board, our newcomers did a fantastic job. But even the people that were in new roles was really impressed the way that they held that down.
I know you kind of mentioned it, but being back at home and starting the season at home, really nice. And I'm sure you were really thankful for everybody who came out and enjoyed this weekend of volleyball.
Yeah, we haven't done that in the first 3 years, or the 3 years that I've been here. The one as assistant and 2 as head coach. We've been on the road, and really the last 2 years didn't get many home matches at all. So great to be here. We had a tailgate going yesterday. Had some RVs that came into town and set up, and soccer team was out there, volleyball fans were out there. We were fortunate to have a supporter that cooked food for all the fans that came out, and we were able to go socialize with them a little bit. So really awesome start, for volleyball for sure, but for WSU athletics as a whole, to get everybody excited about what's going on here this year.
Yep, fun to watch you guys in action this weekend. Congratulations on the 3 victories, and we'll see you back in the middle of the month.
Yeah, absolutely. Go Cougs. Thank you.
That was Corey Schrader with us here post-match. Washington State with the sweep over Central Michigan, and the Cougars 2 sweeps out of these first 3 matches this weekend. Cougs getting the win on Friday over Omaha, then last night against Montana, and today against Central Michigan. They're headed to Eugene, Oregon next. Cougars will have Long Island and then the host Oregon Ducks next weekend on Saturday and Sunday. We are going to have Krista Moorman sitting down with us next. We'll get some of her thoughts as a newcomer here to Washington State. You see that upcoming schedule. Cougars then be on the west side of the state the following weekend to take on Lipscomb, Southern Utah, and Washington. Sitting down with us now is Krista Moorman, one of these newcomers, middle blocker for the Cougs. And Krista, first of all, what was it like to play at home for the first time at Washington State?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, honestly. Like, the environment was super, energetic. And so, yeah, just a blast.
The middle blockers, it seems like you guys really got it going here these last 2 matches of the weekend. Tell me about you and Naomi kind of primarily in that group, and what it's feeling like there in the middle blocker room.
Yeah, honestly, it's feeling really good. We were working super hard to close that seam and just be over and pressed, and that's something we focused on, especially this past week in practice. And so, yeah, it's just we put a lot of hard work in, and it's just super cool to see it show out on the court.
Something I've been talking to your head coach about this week is coming from a program that won a national championship. He wanted you to bring some of that voice to WSU because you've been around teams that have good habits and do championship level things. What's the best habit this team has right now, or the best vibe that they're carrying forward?
Yeah, I would say a positive, the positive energy on this team, I think, is what's going for us. We are always, especially when we come off the bench, when we're in those huddles, we're staying super positive. We're shouting people out. We're recognizing the hard work we're putting in. And so, yeah, I think that's one of our strong suits.
All right. Well, congratulations on a great opening weekend here at Washington State. We're looking forward to seeing you guys going forward.
Sounds good.
That was Krista Moorman with us here post-match. Washington State getting the sweep of Central Michigan today, and the Cougars starting the season 3-0. They will take it to the road next to Eugene to take on Long Island and Oregon next weekend. Big thanks to our entire crew who's been here all weekend long. For all of them, Mr. Trevor Williams saying so long from the Palouse, where the Cougars get the sweep over the Chippewas and start 2026 3-0.